Good afternoon. How are you all doing on this Sunday afternoon? Broncos Thursday, right? So I think we're ready to get started. We're still waiting for Council President Albus Brooks to join us, but I know he has a short window, so we'll get started and we'll incorporate him in the agenda when he gets here. I'm John Parvensky. I'm the president of the Colorado Coalition for the Homeless and the Renaissance Housing Development Corporation. And on behalf of both organizations, I want to welcome you here and thank you for being here to celebrate the groundbreaking for the Renaissance Downtown Lofts, the newest supportive housing development of the coalition. Now, as you can see around you, we couldn't wait until today to actually start construction of this project, given the critical need for this housing in our community. So we've been working on this over the last couple of months, but wanted to bring folks together who have made this project possible to be able to commemorate, thank you for that work. According to the recent Metro Denver Homeless Initiative point-in-time count, there are more than 5,400 families and individuals who experienced homelessness in January of this year in the Metro Denver area. Almost 800 of those were unsheltered, another 1,500 living in shelters. Now we know that Denver is experiencing an affordable housing crisis like we've never seen before. According to the Low-Income Housing Coalition, a person needs to earn $23.60 an hour in order to afford an average apartment here in Denver today. That's more than $49,000 a year. They need to work over 102 hours at minimum wage per week to be able to afford that apartment. Now, the whole affordable housing shortage is concerning to social workers and to teachers and to others who are struggling, having to pay more of their income toward the cost of housing. But for someone living on Social Security or on TANF, or someone working at minimum wage, this crisis is pushing more and more people into homelessness and making the path out of homelessness that much more difficult. The numbers are frightening, and in the 30 years that I've been working here at the Coalition, we've never seen this level of need. And yet today we gather in the spirit of hope and opportunity and in gratitude that we are moving together as a community to create lasting solutions to homelessness so that we can reverse these trends and truly end homelessness in Denver and throughout our state. Now, with the completion of these 100 units of housing, it'll bring the total of supportive housing units developed by the coalition over the last 30 years to more than 1,800 units. And with the housing that we're providing at the Fort Lyons supportive residential community in Las Animas, that grows to over 2,000 units of housing. Last night, we provided housing to more than 2,600 households across the state, families and individuals who, but for our assistance, would be on the streets or in the shelters. Now, we've learned from our experience that supportive housing and housing first works, and it is the answer to ending homelessness in our community. We just need to figure out a way to do more of it so that those who are continually waiting for housing on our waiting list have access to the critical housing that they need. Now, these Renaissance Downtown Lofts will provide 100 apartments targeted to chronically homeless individuals, those living with disabilities, who are frequent users of expensive emergency services funded by the city and other healthcare and emergency providers in our community. The project includes 100 independent housing units with individual kitchens and bathrooms, small one-bedroom apartments to meet the need that we're targeting. It also will include a community rooms and community space, a terrace, and other amenities to meet the needs of the residents who will call this their home. We'll provide on-site property management and service staffing to ensure that the individuals are able to move from the streets and not only obtain housing, but maintain that housing, and in the process get the support that they need to improve their lives. Through the Denver Social Impact Bond Program, The coalition will house and serve some of the most vulnerable people in our community. We began housing individuals under the SIB program in February. The SIB will fund in this project a modified assertive community treatment team that will provide critical services, both health, mental health, and support services to these residents of the downtown Lofts. Now, to date, under the SIB program, our team has engaged 61 individuals who have been referred to us from the courts and the police through the SIB program. And as of this morning, we have housed 51 individuals who now have a place of their own to call home. Now, the early results are encouraging, and as we work to keep these individuals housed, to improve their health status, and to reduce the emergency service costs to the city, we look forward to be able to add to that number and add to the successful outcomes that we envision for that program. Once this housing is completed, the coalition will have housed 175 individuals in conjunction with the Social Impact Bond Program. And with our partner, the Mental Health Center of Denver, we'll add another 85 units of housing through their Sanderson Gulch project when that's finished next September. Now, none of this would have been possible without the collaboration of many, many partners. And the City and County of Denver has been one of the most important partners on this project, both through the development of the Social Impact Bond Program, but also through its investment of $1 million toward the construction cost of this development. Now, we've been working with Mayor Michael Hancock in creating lasting solutions to homelessness in Denver through the SIB program and through the efforts to increase the supply of both supportive housing and affordable housing throughout the city. It's my pleasure to welcome Mayor Hancock to say a few words in this up.
Thank you, John. I think I'm going to speak for a long time because this is where the shade is. I want to go back out in that sun. Actually, take these off. I want to thank John and Colorado Coalition for the Homeless. Let's give them another round of applause and appreciation for the work they do in the life of this community all over the state of Colorado. I also want to acknowledge the presence of our Executive Director of Human Services and Deputy Mayor, the Honorable Don Modis, for being here, as well as Rick Padilla, our Director of the Housing Division for the City of Denver. Thank you as well, Rick. I think Rick's going to speak shortly. And I think we'll be joined briefly or shortly by Council President Brooks. And if he can't be here, it'll be because he's in committee right now. But we certainly want to thank him. Let me just say briefly, first of all, isn't this a gorgeous September day in Denver? Man, now all we have to do is get a Bronco victory and it'll be a perfect day. We'll be all right. The Housing First approach has certainly shown to be effective. And as far as keeping people off the street and connecting them with services they need, but also saving the lives of the most vulnerable in our city. Beginning this year, the City Council approved the contracts that put in motion our Social Impact Bond Program that John referred to. The first ever in Colorado and only the 9th such program in the whole United States of America. I want to, in absentia, thank Councilman Brooks, an early supporter of the effort, a champion with his colleagues on City Council, helping to push it through. As a result, we'll be able to house 250 chronically homeless individuals to provide them with permanent housing and wraparound services, as well as including those that John mentioned just briefly. Again, we want to thank the coalition. We want to thank all the homeless advocates and partners for the work that they do. With the support of the foundations and banks who have committed to addressing the challenges of homelessness with us, we're going to improve the lives of the most vulnerable, those in need, to drive resources toward effective programs. Let me thank many of those players who you may not know, and I think it's important that we allow their names. Northern Trust, the Denver Foundation, Piton Foundation, Ben and Luciana Walton Fund, and the Walton Family Foundation Incorporated, Laura and Ann Arnold Foundation, Laura and John Arnold Foundation, Living Cities Blended Catalyst Fund, LLC, the Nonprofit Finance Fund, and the Colorado Health Foundation. 40 SIB units have already been filled with 40 souls, and they're up and running. 210 are planned. Planned new housing units will be built in the next 2 years, including those on the site that we stand on. This represents the most ever built in Denver in such a short period of time. And I think, as John pointed out, recognizing the sense of urgency that we all feel to move forward and to move as quickly as we possibly can. The Renaissance Downtown Lofts, once open, will help turn the lives of 100 people who will call it home, turn their lives around. I want to recognize the Office of Economic Development for providing the $1 million investment in this project. It's agencies like the OED and Department of Human Services who are working to create solutions to these challenges of affordable housing and homelessness right here in Denver. So let me close with this. There are other people we must thank, because we couldn't have the SIP program, again, unique throughout this country, without the Colorado Housing Finance Authority, without the state of Colorado. And Allison, we want to thank you for helping us in funding the construction and for 50 project-based housing vouchers and the Denver Housing Authority course for the project-based housing vouchers. Is Melinda Polak here? I haven't seen her. You're representing Melinda. You look good, Melinda. From the Enterprise Community Foundation, we and our partners, we want to thank you. You are an invaluable partner. As a matter of fact, one of the most critical partners in the SIB effort. We wouldn't be here. So I am honored to be here as a representative of the people, along with Council President Albus Brooks, to celebrate the groundbreaking of the Renaissance Lofts, downtown Lofts. And I'll tell you that we are continuing to look forward to even more projects and efforts as we go forward. There isn't a day, and I think Councilman Brooks will attest to this, there isn't a day that goes by that we are not confronted with the question, or the questions around housing and affordable housing and homelessness. And I know everyone is working tirelessly to help fill the gap. And so congratulations again to the coalition. Thank you for your partnership. And it's great to see that ugly building that sat here for so long come down, and that we can use this land for something very important in the life of this community. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mayor. Now, we've been working also with City Council President Albus Brooks over the last 5 years to help address homelessness not only here in his district, but across the city. He's a strong supporter of permanent supportive housing as a solution to homelessness. So it's my pleasure to welcome City Council President Albus Brooks.
Good afternoon. How we doing? Go Broncos. Hey, I wanna apologize for being a little late, but we just had we were having an incredible conversation on affordable housing, and as you know, the first affordable housing fund is currently in front of the city and county of Denver to be considered for a final vote September 19th, 5:30 p.m., third floor, City Hall. Come on down. But it's at an interesting point right now, and we have the opportunity to invest over $150 million, into the city. Now, it's, everyone is talking about it not being enough, but that's over 10,000 individuals who otherwise wouldn't be impacted today will be impacted in the future of this city. And so it's critically important. This is my district. I represent this district, and I take it a lot of weight on my shoulders to make sure I understand the needs from those from grassroots all the way up to grass tops. And we have a housing shortage and a housing problem here. And I'm just so excited that within this district, we have over 400 homeless housing units that have been put together, mostly by Colorado Coalition for the Homeless. So, John, I want to give it up right now for you, and thank you for your hard work in that. The mayor has talked about the social impact bonds and that program that's been a part here, and we're so excited to have that here. I also want to talk about the inclusion of the neighborhood. And when this project first started, there was a lot of conversation with neighborhood folks because there is a concentration of homeless facilities here. And John and team and neighborhood presidents came together to have that conversation and say, how do we do this well? We all live in this community. How do we make sure we have a conversation about that? And John, I want to thank you for the conversation that you had and the solutions that you made to make sure this is a reality. Every time I come here, I say this. We got a lot of folks and it's hot outside, so I'm going to cut this short. This should just serve as an inspiration of how hard we have to work for the next event, right? For the next groundbreaking, for the next unit that we create to get someone who wants help off of the street into permanent housing. So let the excitement of the cranes and the rocks and boulders being crushed over there allow you to inspire you to say, we got to get back to the office, we got to get back to work and making sure that we create these units in the city and county of Denver. Thank you guys for being here.
Thanks, Councilman. The Colorado Division of Housing has also taken the lead in promoting expanded supportive housing opportunities both here in Denver and throughout the state. They've invested $1 million toward the construction of this project, as well as a $3 million low-interest loan through the Colorado Housing Investment Trust. I'm pleased to introduce Allison George, the Director of the Colorado Division of Housing, to say a few words.
Mayor, you were going to stay up here? Yeah. I might stay up here. It's really nice standing right here. But first off, boy, John, you've done it again. Mayor, you've done it again. This is fantastic. It is exciting, but there will be so much more to celebrate in just a few months when we're actually housing folks that need it the most. So celebrating the workmen that are here, building this, celebrating the people that are going to have an opportunity to stabilize their lives with the support not only of the coalition and the folks that make this happen, but you guys make this happen, coming together. You mentioned the development funding that we brought. We're partnering with the Denver Housing Authority as well. We're matching the vouchers that the Denver Housing Authority is bringing to help stabilize folks' lives. We're partnering with our local communities to make this all possible. So I'm very excited. And I want to quote someone. I'm not going to name their name, although I think that person's here, and I think that they will know what I'm talking about. But something that really got to my heart when they said it. And that was, it is important that the folks that need help the most disadvantaged, know that they are not too heavy for us to carry. And I appreciate that comment, and I'm excited that we're here to celebrate us taking a step forward toward that effort. Thank you.
Thanks, Allison. You know, the Denver Office of Economic Development has also been a partner on all of our projects that we built here in Denver. And I'm pleased to have Rick Padilla, the housing director for the Office of Economic Development, say a few words.
Thank you, John. Well, they're at it again. Colorado Coalition for the Homeless, building affordable housing. Thank you, John. You guys do a tremendous job. You're a tremendous partner with the city of Denver and everybody in the community. This is an exciting day for affordable housing. OED and the city of Denver is excited to be a part of this. Construction kickoff is a milestone for what's going to be a tremendous asset to our community. The OED, as the mayor had mentioned and John had mentioned, we've played a role in this. We've provided $1 million in gap financing. We've leveraged that 22-to-1. So thank you, Wells Fargo. Thank you, U.S. Bank. Thank you, Colorado Division of Housing and all our funding partners out there. We know we can't do this alone. We need to leverage that funding. We got a minimum of 40 years affordability out of this. Thank you, John. It's tremendous. John has made a commitment to keep this as affordable as long as the need is here, and the need's going to continue to grow. So thank you. The OED is hard at work investing in affordable housing across the city, whether it's serving the most vulnerable investments, such as this, workforce housing, low to moderate income housing, or home ownership. Our pipeline is flush. We have 1,000 units in the pipeline. We have 23 deals under negotiation right now. That's going to represent over 1,800 additional units over the coming year or two. We have 3 affordable housing plans that have recently been completed. 7 of them are under negotiation. That's going to represent home ownership opportunities as well as some rental opportunities for Denverites. 2 years ago, I joined the Office of Economic Development as the housing director. Since that time, I've been honored outside of this to work with the Colorado Coalition of the Homeless on the Stout Street Lofts and the in Colorado Station. Great work. These guys do tremendous jobs, not only providing affordable housing, but the provision of services as well. Colorado Coalition for the Homeless has proven to be a strong partner with the City and County of Denver, and we look forward to our future work with you guys. I just want to wrap this up and say thank you, Mayor, thank you, Councilman Brooks, in absentia. Thank you, Councilwoman Kanish, for your leadership in creating the permanent source of funding so we can build more units like this. Thank you.
You know, I know it's not too much comfort for you guys who are sitting in the sun and probably getting a little hot right now, but the last 4 groundbreakings we did in Denver, we've done at below freezing temperatures. So this is just makeup time. Before we move on, I want to acknowledge Don Morris. The mayor acknowledged him, but Don and the Department of Human Services is a critical partner for us in being able to provide the services that we do for homeless families and individuals. So thank you, Don. Also want to acknowledge Tammy Dorr, the president of the Downtown Denver Partnership, who's a great supporter and knows as well as we do that we need to redouble our efforts to address homelessness in the downtown community. So thank you for being here. You know, one of the key ingredients for developing supportive housing is investment provided through the Low-Income Housing Tax Credit Program. This project received an allocation of tax credits from the Colorado Housing Finance Authority, and I want to thank Mike Pacheco, who's here, who worked on that project. We appreciate CHAFA's support in making these critical resources available for supportive housing. In order to increase the leverage and the number of apartments that we could build on this site, we once again had to combine the competitive 9% low-income housing tax credits with 4% private activity bonds. And while that creates a much more complex financing structure, I think we had 4 legal teams working on it over the course of many months to get it done. This combination allowed us to do 35 more units than we would have been able to fund through the low-income tax credit program alone. Now, we're pleased that Wells Fargo Bank is providing the tax credit investment of more than $18 million toward the construction of this project. And we're pleased to have Frank Newman, who's the Rocky Mountain Regional President for Wells Fargo, here to say a few words. Frank?
Thank you, everyone. I just want to express my gratitude for all the vision and execution it takes to get to this point. You know, you've heard from numerous people already, Mayor Hancock, your team, Rick Padilla, the great work you've done. Councilman, thank you. Colorado Coalition, and some lenders and many other stakeholders who've participated. But that's what this work takes. The fight to end episodic homelessness is likely the most important thing we can do as we do all of the other work day in and day out. You know, there's nothing that's more comforting and part of our basic needs than to be able to have a roof over your head. And so when you think about motivational fit and why all of us have come together to take this vision and then turn it into execution, it's to deliver on that and give that peace to as many people as we can. So for Wells Fargo's 2 cents, we're honored to be a part of that vision and that mission. I want to recognize U.S. Bank for their participation in this project. Again, it's a collaboration, and you know, the land that they've provided, along with the financing that Wells Fargo has committed to, is just one piece of the execution, and there's much more to go. I want to thank Scott Horton on the Wells Fargo team for his efforts on our community lending investment group for helping bring our part to the table. And it's a beautiful day for not only this project but also for Denver. And we again thank you for letting us be a part of it. Thank you.
Now, we wouldn't have been able to build on this site without the generous contribution and a donation of part of the site here from U.S. Bank. The bank has been an important partner with us on many housing developments, and they will be participating as part of the construction financing along with Wells Fargo for this project. So thank you to U.S. Bank. The mayor mentioned it, but I also want to acknowledge Deb Gray is here from the Denver Housing Authority. DHA has provided 50 project-based vouchers matched by DOH, which ensures affordability for those with extremely low income and for those with no income at all until we can get them the income they need to survive. I also want to acknowledge the Mercy Loan Fund that provided a pre-development loan for us to get a head start on this project and to be able to do that before the final financing was in place. So thank you, Mercy Loan Fund. Now, as you can see from these renderings, we will be building 6 stories of housing on this site. It's a fairly tight site. But when we build housing, when we design housing, we try to build it in a quality manner so that it looks and functions just like market rate housing. So people going up and down Broadway will see that and say, oh, another lucky person living in downtown Denver. We want to do that in order to remove any stigma that might otherwise attach to housing for formerly homeless individuals. I want to thank Christopher Carvel Architects for their great design on this tight site that we believe will add to the beauty of downtown Denver for years to come. Thank you, Chris. I also want to thank FCI Constructors, our general contractor, who are still working in the background. They've worked with us over the past year to bring construction prices down during a period that's a very difficult construction market to meet the tight budget that this project has. We know from our experience with them on other developments that they will construct a quality and long-lasting project and asset for this community, and one that comes in on time and under budget. Right, guys? No pressure. I want to acknowledge a number of the coalition board members who are here. Jane Brown, our board president, T.R. Reed, Charles Savage, I see Jennifer, Chris Bates. Thank you all for being here. The support that they provide in making the ability of our staff to carry out these projects is tremendous. And last but not least, our housing development team that does it time after time, creating quality housing in our community. Bill Windsor, Don Hartman, who's the lead on this project, Kuhl Brown, and Tony Lewis. Thank you for the great work that you all are doing. So finally, in closing, in February, we opened up the Renaissance at North Colorado Station, a 103-unit apartment building at 40th and Colorado. The building was filled in 3 months. Next September, this Renaissance downtown Lofts will become home for 100 new individuals who are currently living on the streets and calling the streets their home. We look forward to seeing you here this time next year for a celebration to open up this brand new building and to renew our commitment to do more of this in order to meet the need until there's not one single individual calling the streets their home in our community. So thank you again for being here.
All right.